It's finally done. The draft is done. Broncos country, we're here to break it down. We'll tell you about the players who bring the power. This is horsepower.
Broncos country, what is going on? We got a lot to break down for you today. We're going to talk about, did the NFL, are they trying to sabotage us? Really? Are they trying to sabotage us with this schedule? We're going to dive into it. Of course, you might notice things are a little bit different. Mark is out in Mexico. He might tune in. We still tagged him in the description, but joined here by Jeremy as well as Kodiak. So we're going to get into the schedule. We're going to talk about maybe some potential breakouts that needed for us to make it through this gauntlet. Y'all be sure to smash that like, subscribe, get in here on the chat, and shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring the video. Let's go ahead and get into it, guys, though, with I'll pull this up here just for a second for us to go through, and then we can kind of spend some time commenting here. But you guys have seen it by now. We have 5 playoff teams within the first 6 weeks. Originally, guys, I was saying we got 6 playoff teams in 6 weeks, but I'm making the mistake that most of the NFL is. Guys, the Kansas City Chiefs are a 6-11 team. They're not a playoff team. So 5 playoff teams in 6 weeks. Then we go Cardinals, Chiefs, Panthers. So 6 playoff teams there in the first 9 weeks. And then the schedule kind of lightens up a little bit after the 10-week bye. And then we finish off with Buffalo, New England, and then the Chargers. But I want to hear what you guys had to think with this schedule. We'll start with you, Jeremy, man. What was your first reaction when this schedule was released, looking through it?
Man, it's a tough start. And Sean Payton is a notoriously slow starter. So it's an interesting – it's like, do we want – the tough games up front because we typically kind of go 500 up front and then have the, or do you want the tough games in the back because you're usually better in the back? Like I don't know. This is going to be interesting. I don't know how I feel about it yet. If we start really slow, I'm going to not like, but I do like having the Chiefs straight out the gate. I do like that just because, Patrick Mahomes coming off the injury, you're going to maybe catch them at their weakest and you're at Chiefs. And I hate playing at Chiefs end of December in the cold. Like if we can get that out of the way and get a win straight out the gate and then the next one's at home, I feel good about that. And I think that's going to really kind of set the tone. And I will say seeing the schedule made me feel better about the kind of strategy that they had as far as sticking with, the guys that brung them, you know what I mean? Like the continuity will help propel you because there's not a lot of new moving parts that need to get adjusted to. Like, that's where it's like, okay, I do see that can be a benefit. It's more of a continuation as opposed to, it's just getting Waddle up to speed and they're rookies, but it's not like we have, 50% new guys that need to figure out timing and all that stuff. So that's how I felt about it.
You wonderfully said. Before we get to what your thoughts are on Kodiak on this, I want to bring up David's comment here. This was awesome. Let me say something that might get fans mad. If the Broncos want to be considered elite, they need to take care of business. What are your thoughts right now on the schedule?
Either one of us or me?
Yours, Kodiak.
Okay. Well, my initial thoughts are I think it's a great opportunity for the Broncos to right a couple wrongs that they've had the past 2 years. 2023, 2024, and 2025, we have started slow, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. It's been tough sledding, especially early in the year. And you know what? I think it's a great opportunity for the Broncos to, come out of the gate, come out firing. And unfortunately, we do have a 19-year sample size of Sean Payton as a head coach not really doing that. And another problem is that you have a long sample size of Bo Nix doing that pretty much his entire time in college and the NFL, except for his final year at Oregon. But I think it's a great opportunity, man. I think it's a great opportunity, to show that the NFL that you're for real, to show that you can, build off the success that you had this year against the strong teams. I think, coming out of the gate firing, I think it's going to be really important. And you've got a couple really big games against NFC teams in primetime. You've got the 2 finalists from the NFC on primetime early in the year. So, yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for the Broncos to come out and firing. And if they truly are the class of the AFC, and they truly are comfortable remaining status quo, and they truly are, one of the best teams in the NFL, which their actions have, clearly said that they are very confident in this roster this past offseason, then you know what? They're going to follow through with it on the field.
Wonderfully said, man. I love the fact that we get what's called the gauntlet there in the first 6 weeks. Now, again, like I don't know, man. I can understand the case for maybe the NFL doing this because they hate Sean Payton. The logical part of me when I'm like looking at this, I'm like, how can you manipulate 32 different team schedules to make sure that you're singling out the Broncos? I think that's a bit rich, but I don't necessarily think that this is a bad thing for us. I think that depending on how you're looking at this, it can be glass half full or half empty. But yeah. I love the fact that you get these teams when you should be your healthiest, man. You should be your healthiest going through the first 9 weeks of the season. And these opponents here, Seattle, the Super Bowl champions, you get them at home, though, in Denver, right? That's great. You get the LA Rams, which, they're right up there, one of the top teams in the NFL again. You get them at home. I think the floor for this team, I know this sounds crazy, but going through this first 6 weeks, I think the floor is 3-3. If Denver shows that championship composure, that we all saw them have throughout the season last year, I think they can come out of this with a winning record. But it's gonna take an abnormal, closer to hot start on offense getting out of here. But that's why you should bring everybody back while you're as you were bringing up, Jeremy. So, man, I think it's a great opportunity, and hopefully Sean Payton and the rest of the team won't take the start of the season for granted. We started 1-2 last year. People forget that, and we're not going to have that luxury of being able to start off slow and I think win the AFC. We gotta take care of business, and this is a great opportunity, I think, just to shut people up. And it starts with maybe Mahomes, maybe Justin Fields week 1, but I will gladly take this Chiefs matchup, man. I'm really looking forward to it. Kodiak, are there some games that you're really looking forward to throughout the schedule? What are some of them?
Yeah, of course. So one that's not really being talked a lot, week 4 at San Francisco, man. I think, Vance Joseph and Kyle Shanahan, for the most part, Kyle Shanahan did get the better of Vance Joseph there when they were in the NFC West. But I think a large part of that is because, Vance Joseph was with Arizona and Kyle Shanahan was with San Francisco. But I think that's going to be a big one. I think we can go into San Francisco, and I think we can absolutely get the win. Another one on my radar is, obviously getting the Chiefs at home relatively early in the year. Week 8, I feel like, if you lose against the Chiefs in the first matchup, you've got to get right. Week 8, there's not going to be a very good margin of error. And then week 17 against New England, man, that could be for something huge. That could be for something absolutely huge. So those are 3 other matchups that I'm really, really looking forward to. And I think that's Saturday, I want to say. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see as well. But yeah, so those are 3 games that are on my radar that I feel like a lot of people aren't really talking about.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I think the ones I was expecting to see that typical East Coast swing that he wants, and it looks like we have a West Coast early, at 49ers, at Chargers, and then we play Rams. That's following the Rams on Sunday night, and then Seahawks. So it's like that whole gauntlet. I think Chiefs are always going to be what we kind of expect in that first game. It's going to be interesting to see where, leading from preseason into that, but that swing right there, I'm really looking forward to, just because it's like going from home to road to home against really, really top tier teams is going to be kind of the put up or shut up of like who we are for this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wonderfully said, man. I'll get to a few of these other comments here. David Youngkin saying if we go 3-3, We will be fine. Jordan saying, a great opportunity to get 6 of our hard games out of the way before JK goes down. You're not wrong there, man. Yeah, we need to have them against our toughest opponents, and Jordan's right on the money there. David's saying the defenses will either double team Sutton or Waddle. Somebody should be open. Hansi thinking that New England is winning 5 games this year. I will stand on it. I don't think Mike Vrabel is going to be the coach for the Patriots when the season starts. I think the Patriots, they're in for tough sledding. I think so this year. And who knows about Buffalo with how this will go with who they hire as head coach?
Joe Brady.
Their
Okay.
OC.
Yeah, then they stole our guy to be their defensive coordinator, which I'm sad about.
Oh, yeah. Well, we should know everything that they're doing, right? Because Joe Brady, Sean Payton guy, as well as their defensive coordinator now. So we should figure it out. But any final thoughts on the schedule, or shall we kind of get into some more talking about specific players for this season? Jeremy, do you have any more thoughts?
The only thoughts I have is we could go to the AFC Championship and we're still not going to get respect, which I'm fine with. Let's just get that out of the way. I'm not complaining. We thrive disrespected. So just another year going into it, and you would be like, oh, well, Bo Nix brought him to the playoffs. Bo Nix took him to the AFC Championship. They should be getting all the love. And again, we're not. They're still not. There's no believers in the national media, but I would prefer it that way. So when people are getting frustrated by that, just be like, good. We play better with a chip on our shoulder. So at first you're like, what the heck? And then after you think about it, you're like, actually, I like this.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, but the over-under win total, Jeremy, is 9.5 games.
No.
And the Chiefs are at 10.5.
Of course.
It doesn't make any sense. But
coming off an injury and a season in which they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, and they lost a lot of good players.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they got Kenneth Walker, but that was it. So VJ has gotten owned by Brady. I guess it just depends on how you look at it, Jeremy or Darian, if I can talk. I'll probably side with you, but the 5 turnovers, right? That says something as well. We'll have to see. But if the Broncos are going to repeat, or I guess we'll get to this. I want to ask this before we get to this. First glance, record prediction. Kodiak, how many wins are we getting this year?
11.
Okay. Jeremy?
That feels right, but I'll go 12 to be the optimist.
Well, I'll beat both of you. We'll go with 13.
Okay.
I think, I don't know if I can go with 14 again. But,
yeah.
13 served me well last year, so I'm just going to, keep going with it. Kodiak, though, but does 11 wins get us the division title, most importantly?
It feels like it should be enough. I think, did Buffalo? I'm trying to think. Buffalo or Houston, either one of those teams, I think they got 11 wins this year, and it wasn't enough. So, I think the AFC is just too strong. You know what? I think a strong conference does work in our favor, though, because I think it might be good enough. And honestly, the Raiders are probably still a year or two away. The Chiefs, who knows? They could start slow with Mahomes coming back. And then all you really got to worry about is the Chargers. I think 11, it probably does, but I think you'd be a 4 seed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, Jeremy, you said 12? That should get the division, right?
I would think, because all the teams that we have to play, they have to play as well for the most part. So I would assume, I think so. Because if we got 12 wins, we beat our division probably. We probably had a good record against our division. So I would think it would. Okay. It might come down to being the last game or two, but I think so.
A few other people in the chat here. T Fish is saying Denver's 4 is 10-7, 13-4 realistic. Yeah. Or ceiling's 13-4. My bad. Realistic's 11-6, like Kodiak is saying. Optimistic is 12-5, like T Fish is, or like Jeremy's saying. Yeah. Wonderful breakdown, T Fishes. Eli coming in with an interesting question, though, guys. What game do you think the Broncos could lose that you think they would win? And what game do you think they could win that you're projecting them to lose? Interesting.
I think I've got an answer for both of those. So the one I could see being really tough for us that I think a lot of the fan base is penciling, not sharpieing as a win, is week 9 at Carolina. Carolina's good, dude. You know, obviously they won the NFC South this past year. They have a lot of continuity within their coaching staff. And yes, I know the last time we played Bryce Young, we kind of teed off on him. But you know what? They've got some legit weapons down there. They've gotten better every year under Canales.
Yes.
Teteroa McMillan is obviously pretty legit. And then their run game, I don't know what it is, but man, it feels like their run game can pop off for a few weeks in any given season. So, yeah, I could see Carolina being a tough matchup, one that I think a lot of the fan base was like, oh, we should win that one. I could see that one definitely flipping the other way. But as far as the games that I think a lot of people are just like, well, you probably are going to lose that one. Man, week 6 against Seattle, I think Seattle is probably not going to be as good as they were this past year because, first of all, you lost your offensive coordinator. You lost a ton of weapons. You lost Kenneth Walker. You lost Boye Mafe. You lost Tariq Woolen. And obviously, they still added Jadarian Price. They're still going to be a very good team. But you have another year of teams just having an answer to solve Mike Macdonald. And even though he's a very, very good coach, like probably one of the best head coaches in the NFL already, and obviously one of the top defensive minds in the sport, I just don't know if they have the horses to really continue and really build on the success that they had this past year.
And it's a short week for them on a Thursday night on the road.
Exactly. In altitude.
Yeah. Right.
Wonderfully said. Jeremy, what's a couple games you're looking at?
I was thinking about that Seahawks game. For some reason, the way you look at the schedule, in May, you're like, oh, after the bye, we should just be cruising, right? It's Raiders, Steelers, Dolphins, Jets, Raiders. But I don't know, something about that back-to-back on the road, that second Raiders one right before you play the Bills on Christmas. I feel like that's got trap game written all over it. I don't know. Like that one, I don't know. Beating the Raiders is always weird. It's always, division games are always like that. And we always seem to struggle. Like we won that game against the Raiders, that 10-7 snooze fest.
Oh my God.
This last season. It just seems like there's always like issues and they're going to be coming up and who knows where Mendoza is going to be at that point and all that stuff. So that one I could see us dropping and everybody expects us to win. And then I was going to say that Seahawks as well was one that people probably penciled in as a loss, which it's going to be tough for Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, any of these first 8-9 games is going to be, they're going to be dogfights, all of them. So I really, if this team can continue that win close games thing that they figured out last season, if that continues, will be, I think, the favorite, if not the favorite in the AFC. If that starts to slip and they start to lose confidence, and there's, there is as much as continuity as we have, we do have a new play caller. We are coming off of an ankle injury. We're doing some of that stuff. So that's where it could get a little squirrely. So, but I think that Seahawks game is one I feel better about than I think the general public does.
Dude, I love how you're saying that. Hansi supports you. Jeremy saying, I don't care if he just won a Super Bowl. I'm never counting out this team against Sam Darnold. Yeah, wonderfully said. A couple that I'm looking at, the game that I think Darian beat me to it, that I think the Broncos could drop is that Pittsburgh Steelers game. That's in Pittsburgh. We should beat them, right? But there's been times that, where we struggled against Pittsburgh. And even though they're an aging team, I don't know. We'll see how good of a hold Mike McCarthy has on them. But I don't know. Nothing should be taken for granted in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field. I don't care how bad their offense is. And then one that I think a lot of people are thinking that we'll lose. But again, I'll continue to piggyback. I don't think the Patriots are going to be as good this next year. So even though it's on the road, I could see Denver going in there week 17 and beating beating the Patriots, man. And that might even decide something like a playoff bye, depending on if we're able to get through this first stretch of games with a winning record. So, yeah, we'll have to see. Ken Drickles doesn't think Seahawks are going to own Bo Nix. We'll have to see about that. But man, this game's being played in Denver, man. It'd be different if it was in Seattle, but I'm not counting out our team at all at home, especially in the Mile High. Hydra Ammo saying the Broncos the past 2 years is a team that doesn't lose to teams they're not supposed to, except the Colts last year. And let's be real, they won that game. The strength of schedule could change, just like it changed last year, right? Wonderful point. Martin saying the way the Rams use their tight ends and with all their weapons, they'll be a hard team to beat. Kodiak, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the tight end position, and so I have some questions, well, for both of you guys. I'm curious what you think. There's been a lot of talk about 13 personnel, how that's like the new big trend in the NFL. You see it with the Seattle Seahawks. You see it with the Rams. You see it with 49ers, right? We ran pretty heavy throughout portions of last year as well. Do you think that's something that the Broncos should be leaning in more to? Do you think that's something that we'll get? Or is this kind of at a different point in NFL trends where you think with Davis Webb we might zag a little bit while other teams zig? What do you think about that, Kodiak?
Well, when it comes to Sean Payton, he typically does not do a whole lot of trendy stuff. Okay, you look at what Green Bay and the Rams were doing this past year. They did a lot of like motion RPOs and like all that nonsense. And yeah, no, it's just one of those things that Sean Payton is very specific in what he likes to do. And not to say that he's like living in the past or whatever, but yeah, no, it's not really a guy that he's not really a guy that really does a whole lot of that, and you really can't do a whole lot of that, especially when you're throwing out like guys like Adam Troutman. And I think we ran 13 personnel this past year with Adam Troutman, Nate Atkins, and Frank Crum, and so the opposing team is seeing that, and you're just like, okay, they're running the ball. Biggest thing is I just don't think we have the personnel to do it. Unlike the Rams. Okay, you got Claire, you got Parkinson, and Ferguson. Okay, you've used your
and Higbee.
Yeah, exactly. So you used 2 second-round picks on your tight ends, and obviously that's kind of the engine that makes the offense go. It's really allowed Stafford and McVay to continue building on their offensive success, even with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, because obviously they've had a really, really good passing attack, and you can pass and run out of the same formations, and that is a big part of how they can really, really hurt teams. But yeah, as far as, should we do it? I really just don't want our tight ends on the field that much, if I'm being honest. Like, it'd be different if we got like a breakout, if, Jolie comes in better than expected, Bentley comes in better than expected. But yeah, no, if we're just running 13 personnel all day, every day, you got to have the horses to do it. You don't want to do it just for the sake of keeping up with the times and doing trends. You're going to have Chicago have Kmet, Roush, and Loveland. You're going to have, you obviously mentioned the Rams doing stuff like that because they can do it. All right. And the Broncos, they just flat out can't. And yeah, no, to answer your question, I think Davis Webb, it's a good opportunity for him to zag while other teams zig because it's hard to match. It's hard to match up with 3 tight ends on the field, but I think we got the secondary to do it. I don't think we have the linebackers to do it, but I think we got the secondary to do it. So I don't think those will really hurt us as much as we think in the passing game. I think in the run game, maybe, but we'll see.
Yeah. How do you see this going, Jeremy?
Yeah, I echo that. I think until somebody proves that they're like legit, that you can trust to be out there and do that. I don't see that being our strength, especially when you bring in people. You got Waddle and Franklin and Bryant, and you got all these like fast guys, and I just have a feeling like they're going to use that more as like a decoy, and then they'll be passing out little dump offs to Coleman and Harvey and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm praying and hoping that like Alex said, like Dallin or Justin Jolie like really show something, or Loner. I'm not opposed.
That's right.
But I would love to see that. But until we see it, I would err on the probably not.
Hydra saying, what would you place the odds on to cut all the current tight ends and keep all the new boys except Adam Troutman? I don't see the need for Atkins anymore since Prentice is there. And then you also have Bentley, Loner, and Jolie. They've arrived. Kodiak, what do you think?
Listen, as far as what would you place the odds on to cut all the current tight ends, I don't think that's going to happen. It's just a really tough position to pick up, especially in a Sean Payton offense. Now, would I have liked to have seen maybe Ingram not return? Not necessarily, but it's definitely something that if the Broncos had done it, I would have been like, okay, I get it. Because obviously he's a very big problem in your tight end room. The fact that you deployed him on only 15% of his plays being run plays when he was on the field, that is a huge problem. That's tough for the defense. That's like Jaleel McLaughlin at the tight end position. But yeah, no, I don't think there's a whole lot of good chances we're going to cut necessarily all the current tight ends, and keep all the new boys except Adam Troutman, which, by the way, that contract gets worse and worse, dude. After seeing what we did in the draft, man, I wish this guy would just go away. But you know what? Jeremy said that maybe the continuity could be a good thing. We'll see. As far as the other thing, I don't see the need for Adkins anymore since Prentice is there. You know what? I'm right there with you. Nate Adkins is obviously not a friend of the show. He's come across one of us in public before. So yeah, and also he was just not good last year. Like, I'm just going to be straight up. The on-off splits for him are actually really, really good. Like the Broncos offense, it says they were really good when he was on the field, but I don't know. My eyes just told me something else. I just did not think he was good at all last year. And I think part of that was because he was hurt all the time.
Yeah.
So, but if he can recapture that magic, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun that we're actually talking about guys with upside at the tight end position like Bentley, Loner, and Jolie. Because not that he's ever done anything wrong, but I was so sick of people trying to hype up Kroll last year in the preseason.
If only he had hit. Yeah. What do you think, Jeremy? You think these guys stick on the roster, or is their time done?
I mean, as much as most of Broncos country would like for that to happen, I don't see it happening. It comes down to all just trust in knowing what you're supposed to do. And that's why they re-sign these guys, as much as we didn't like it. You know, when they have certain positions, they don't mess with upside. It doesn't seem like they want more like stability. They want a higher floor than a an amazing ceiling, or a lower floor or whatever, higher floor than just potential. It seems like at the tight end position, they don't seem like, Evan Ingram was the one shot we kind of took, and he barely got thrown to. And then when he did, it was like, well, why weren't you guys doing more of this? So it's not going to happen. But Atkins, I mean, the year before that, he was like low key our best tight end.
He was good. Yeah, he was good in 24. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I can just chalk that up just because of injuries. Too many root beer vapes. I don't know what it was, but I would love for these guys, Bentley, Loner, Jolie, 1, 2, or all three of them, to put these guys on notice and then to build that trust so the next season they can do that. But I don't see it happening before this season.
I would still like us to lean into a lot of the 11 personnel. Yeah, like you said, Kodiak, I just don't think we have the horses to do what the Rams and these other teams are doing. I think our strengths now are with our pass catchers, with our wide receivers. Like, now you got Pat Bryant as a number 3 option, Cortland Sutton as a number 2. We got some guys that could give some secondaries coverage issues with how deep we are at wide receiver. And I do wonder, because of that, because of the deepness or the depth that we have at wide receiver, if it opens up a little bit more for our tight ends with pass catching ability. Like, I mean, I don't think Evan Ingram's roster spot's a given or anything like that, but I think we should see a better version of him being the second year in the system, hopefully. Jolie's got the ability to, get downfield and catch the ball. God forbid if we see a Caleb Loner breakout. Wouldn't that just be absolutely sick? But yeah, with guys like Atkins, even Prentice, man, I think you could get away with it having at least one of them on the practice squad, if not both of them, and rolling with Ingram, Troutman, uh, Bentley, and Jolie. That's kind of my hope, is that we keep that group. And then if Caleb Lohner is, the truth, then we got some other tough decisions to make. But I don't really know where we go with, having 5 tight ends, where we'll probably be out in a lot of 11 personnel, hopefully throwing the ball around and trying to get J.K. Dobbins away from seeing stacked boxes. I don't know, man. That's just my thought. It's hard for me to see more than 5 tight ends on the roster right now. If we do have more of that, more than 4, maybe we really are doing more of that 13 stuff. We'll see.
Yep.
Darian saying, Atkins and Troutman's floors, they still suck. We have Jordan saying, I just keep recycling tight ends and getting new ones until we find the right ones. Absolutely. And we also have Torian York now. I guess that could help, but I guess the Chargers, they're going 13 personnel as well with what you've seen with signing David Njoku. They got Charlie Kolar. They got Aronde Gadsden. Do you think, guys, right now, this linebacker room will remain as is? Or because of this, with all the teams that we see going heavy into 13, do you think the Broncos got another move coming at linebacker? Jeremy, we'll start with you.
I'm going to be optimistic and think that I really like the potential of York and Murdoch, and the Ellis move for some snaps is going to be interesting. I think they're going to default to that. If we do see a move, it will be after they see some like preseason off, training camp work. And then they were like, maybe we need to beef this up a little more. But I'm hopeful that they're going to be like blown away by some of these guys. And I mean, I think we can with our safety situation and Barron, I think you can also move him to play some more coverage stuff for tight ends and some of that kind of stuff. So I think that if that happens, it will be if they don't like what they see. But I'm optimistic that they will, because I really like those players.
Good. Kodiak?
Well, first of all, hi Dramo. Love you. You're my Arizona bro, of course. But he said we have York now. Come on, we have linebackers for 13 personnel. Dude, I'm not expecting York to make the 53-man roster, first and foremost. Second of all, okay, so even if you have Singleton and Sternad covering their tight ends well, which imagine, wouldn't that be a concept? The third guy that you're throwing out there to potentially match up with them, it'd probably be Barron, if I'm being honest. But then after that, God, who are you throwing out there? Like Jordan Turner, like all these just unproven guys. So Darian says it right here. One injury to linebacker, God forbid we're screwed. And you know what? Yeah, that's kind of my sentiment too. As much as I would like for Jordan Turner and Karene Reed or Lavelle Bailey to really, or even I don't care who it is, like Red Murdoch, Torian York, as much as I would love these guys to, ascend and take steps forward in their game or whatever, I think it's just going to be really interesting to see how it shakes out, because I think we have 2 spots available. I think we're going to keep 4 inside linebackers, not including Ellis. I'm still kind of classifying him as an edge. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. And honestly, I think they are going to default to special teams ability and experience if that does end up coming to fruition. That's why I think York in particular has a really big uphill climb. But I think Turner is still somebody who could, obviously where you're going to get on special teams. But yeah, we'll see how he is as an actual linebacker. But yeah, that'll be interesting.
I think I'm warming up a little bit more to the idea of bringing in another veteran. I would love Matt Milano to come in here. And if, again, we're facing jumbo sets, right? You need 3 linebackers out there. I think Milano could help quite a bit. I don't know if he really wants to play special teams at this point in his career. I think that's probably kind of a big question mark for him. But I think the longer he goes unsigned, maybe you can sell him on on a backup linebacker role with playing some special teams. If we have an injury go down, man, I would much rather, I think right now, have somebody with experience go in there to take over instead of it would be different. It'd be different even if we just had expectations to like win a division, right? But now where, hey, first time in 10 years, legitimately, the expectation for this team is to win the Super Bowl. I don't really want to take risks with many young players. So we'll see how the Peyton, group think or brain trust rather thinks about this, but we'll see. Oh no, Hansi. But yeah, I hope this is a joke. He said, "Here's an idea: move Drew Sanders from edge to inside linebacker. If Drew Sanders makes this team, we got some issues. We had something bad happen in training camp, no doubt about it. Yeah, well, we're going to be in a bad scenario. But I've wanted to ask you guys this question: if we are going to win a Super Bowl, who is one player that makes a significant jump to ensure that we get over the hump and win the Super Bowl this year? I'll give you guys some time to think about it. I'll share mine, okay? And hopefully you guys can finish stronger than me. But I'll tell you what. If Caleb Lohner breaks out as the tight end 2 for this team, we are winning the Super Bowl. We are winning the Super Bowl. That's how I feel about it. If we get a Julius Thomas type breakout for this guy, it's over. Defenses aren't going to know how to guard us with the receivers we got, Evan Ingram and Caleb Lohner on the field. Good luck. Now that I got that out of the way, bring us down to earth, Jeremy.
I thought you were going to say Crawshaw was going to have to really excel this year.
No, he was already all pro, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. Hopefully he's not even punting. I'm going to say somebody needs to emerge as a really good pass catcher 3. I think Waddle will need to step into a role pretty quickly and be the guy that we traded for. I think Sutton needs to be that possession guy. And it could come from a tight end, but I'm probably thinking more Bryant or Franklin, or Mims, just somebody who can, every time the defense kind of focuses in on Waddle or Sutton on third down, just to be that safety blanket that Bo can find somebody and keep it moving. And maybe that's even like a Jonah Coleman or a Harvey, out of the backfield, but somebody needs to be that option that they can't cover everybody. And Bo finds the person that they can't cover. And it's probably going to be some sort of pass catcher 3. I think it might be, I really liked Pat Bryant's trajectory up until the injuries. So if he can stay healthy, he seems to have really good hands. And that was the part that was really lacking. And that's why I like Bentley and Jolie, because they had really good hands, and Coleman has really good hands. So I feel like any of those guys takes a big step forward to be that clutch chain mover when we need it. I think that will be the person that we need the most.
So it sounds like to me you like Pat Bryant's odds the most out of those guys.
I would, that's fair to say.
Before we get to Kodiak's answers, a few people chiming in the chat saying a Riley Moss breakout. That would be welcomed. Quentin saying, I say Troy. All right.
Could be.
Yeah, that would be great. Jackson saying Pat Bryant has a Rod Smith rise. Hansi saying, is Bo Nix too obvious? Yes. Yeah, that doesn't count. He's the quarterback. We already call him a franchise quarterback. So, Kodiak, who's your breakout player to watch for?
Guys, hear me out. Tight ends take a while to develop in the NFL, and Adam Trout. No, I'm not going to do that to y'all. I'm not going to do that to y'all.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be. What a concept, to finally get 1,000 yards into your 7th year of your NFL career, which is something he has not done yet. No, but honestly, in all honesty, man, I think had you had a really evolved Harvey this past year, I think you're looking at an entirely different team in the second half of the year. Okay. The reason I think that is because obviously, you're not getting a full 17 out of JK. Obviously, the injury that happened to him, it was fluky. It was unlucky, whatever you want to call it. The reality of the situation is this has never been a guy that you could rely on for that. But you're also relying on a rookie running back, Jonah Coleman, to come in, and he profiles more as like a third down specialist. Not to say that he's like a bad pure runner or anything like that, but he had a better third down profile than first, second down profile. So I think RJ Harvey, if he can take steps forward as a pure runner, will be a really, really tough team to stop, because RJ is a guy who would really give defenses fits. All right.
Mhm.
You know, obviously we saw the playmaking ability this past year. The playmaking ability was absolutely fantastic. I don't think anybody had any gripes about that. He's good in the red zone. He's good running routes out of the backfield. Needs to get a little more consistent catching out of the backfield, because he did have quite a few drops. But other than that, I have no issues with him as a receiver. As a pure runner, though, I think we all kind of had some problems with him in the back half of the year.
Yeah.
Especially because he was running behind the same line that J.K. Dobbins was absolutely tearing it up behind. So, yeah, I think RJ is my answer. I think we're going to need a big, big leap from RJ in year 2. And you know what? I think we'll get it. I think we're going to get it, especially because this is a guy that hasn't been playing running back for very long. He played running back again before he transferred back to UCF in 2022, or they changed his position or whatever. And you know what? I think he's one of those guys that, you know what, you get a breakout from him, he can really keep the run game afloat, and I think it could be a strength of the team.
Yeah, wonderfully said. This past year, it was his 4th season playing running back in his entire football career. So there still is potential to realize with RJ Harvey. And I think something to look out for, even though I would do this because I want the team to be as stacked as possible, with now the rumors around Alvin Kamara's release from the Saints. If the Broncos don't bring him in, I think that says a lot about how the Broncos are feeling about RJ Harvey's development. So, yeah, Jeremy?
I think there's a lot. I mean, Harvey's a perfect example, but I mean, Franklin's still so young, and Bryant was looking like a beast at the end of the season. And then you have Harvey, and then you have Coleman, and then you have the 2 tight ends we just drafted. You know, I mean, there's a lot of ascension that can happen from a lot of places, which is exciting. And then you like backstopped it with one of the fastest, most explosive wide receivers in Jalen Waddle. If Sutton can maintain his level and maybe catch a few more crucial ones instead of drops, I honestly think like this team can be a lot better offensively than we were. The defense should be relatively what we expect as long as they stay, relatively healthy. But that's where I really feel like there could be an ascension, just because it could come from a lot of different places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We don't even, with Court, hopefully with the addition of Waddle, it takes a little bit of responsibility off of him to keep the Broncos offense moving. I think what he does so good at, and I don't think he's regressed in this at all, is just the type of red zone threat that he is. That's where he's at his best. I just think things are going to open up for him more, and you'll still see him score a ton of touchdowns. I don't know, man. This is crazy. I think we'll get double-digit touchdowns out of Sutton this year, just because of how good the offense will be moving. Hopefully, I know that's a big bet on Davis Webb, but we got too many weapons. The speed element of things that we have right now with Waddle and then Troy, it's going to create a lot more favorable matchups and windows for Bo Nix to throw into, I think.
And I tend to just forget about Marvin Mims, but like he was kind of our most clutch guy in a lot of those big games. Like if Davis Webb can like kind of focus in more on him being that sneaky, option, he could have a breakout year for sure. So.
Yeah, totally. Darian said he regressed as a red zone threat. I don't really remember him dropping touchdowns, man. I just remember him catching those fades, those double team balls.
So here's what I will say about Courtland Sutton. I think the fan base is relatively down on him right now because he played his worst ball at the end of the year. Like in the playoffs and the final 2 games of the regular season, he did nothing. Like the Chiefs game, I think on Christmas is still fresh on a lot of people's minds because it was prime time. But I think with Courtland Sutton, people only remember the situational stuff. Okay. And for better or for worse. Okay. You remember the insane toe drag touchdowns that he had against the
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football a couple of years ago. But you also remember, the drops. You also remember the things that absolutely killed us. You remember, the Buffalo game, man. He almost literally sold us the game because he could not hang on to 2 passes that he should have had on our first drive in overtime. So, yeah.
Yep.
Still think he's a top 10 player on the team. Like I'm going to do my top 10 soon. Been slacking on that, but I still have Cortland Sutton as the 9th best player on the team because you know what? He got up for our biggest games this past year. Green Bay, Jacksonville, at the Chargers, at Philly. Like, man, oh man, when we needed him to be a go-to guy and just, do his thing and be a wide receiver one that could, more or less take over a game. I know he wasn't really consistent with it. He was up for the challenge. So, yeah.
Yeah, still 1,000-yard season last year. So,
yeah. I want him to take those drops personally this offseason and just grind on those drops and just be like, I'm not going to let that happen again, and just come back like super motivated on that. Because if you just fix those, he has an amazing year, right?
Yeah.
And we probably win a lot of games a little more easier than it coming down to the end. So.
Well, we got rid of Kerry Colbert, which is hopefully.
That's right. Catch it with the webbing, not.
Yeah. When the whole team struggles with drops, that's when it's a coaching issue, in my opinion. So hopefully, man, who's the guy we got coming in now coaching the wide receivers?
Ronald Curry, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember, David. Yeah. You and I were saying for 2 years that they needed to get rid of Kerry Colbert because we've had some development from guys like Bryant and Franklin or whatever, but we've had so much poor play from that position. Okay, part of it is how much we deployed some total non-factors and scrubs, but also we've gotten a lot of bad effort, we've gotten a lot of poor routes, we've gotten a lot of drops. So yeah, that was something that needed to happen.
Yeah. Hopefully, some greater accountability in this wide receiver room is and with the coaches. It's going to pay dividends, and yeah, Court's still going for 1,000 yards this year, guys. I still think that's going to happen. Well, we'll have to see, but maybe it could be Troy Franklin though. Jeremy, do we have any hold your horses or giddy up questions?
Yeah, I got some.
All right,
you kind of asked some of them already, so like schedule stuff and that kind of thing. But
yeah.
Just I'll ask it in a different way. This goes for both of you. Which game or games are you least looking forward to in this upcoming year? Is there one that you're just like, that one doesn't feel good?
Least looking forward to, man. We got prime time, I guess, against the Steelers, even though it's not really prime time. The whole country is going to be tuned in. That has all the makings of, David, I know you love the games that we were in this past year that were just those absolute rock fights, those slop fests. Like, yes. I know you were loving every second of that Jets game. I know you were loving every second of that Thursday night game against the Raiders. But
the Jets game was awesome.
Yeah, I know. But I feel like that Steelers-Broncos Black Friday game, that game might set football back like 50 years, especially because, you know how we do on short weeks. Wait, actually, are we on a bye before that? No, I don't think we are. Mm-hmm. But even then, yeah, no. I think that's gonna be a total slot fest. And you know what? You guys have already alluded to it. The Steelers, they have a couple games a year where they're against a really good AFC team and they just get up for the game at home. So it just is what it is. But yeah, I think that game I'm not looking forward to at all.
And that's a weird Black Friday game, which it's like watching a football game on a Friday night is so weird anyways.
Yeah. Forget that happens. Man, looking at the schedule, I don't know. I really love it when we go up against all these good teams because now we can shut them up. So honestly, the Cardinals game has no aura to it whatsoever. I don't like those are the types of games that I don't care about. Kodiak, you brought up like the Panthers are respectable now. The Jaguars obviously kicked our butt last year. This is a great schedule in which, Miami, they should be horrible, but at least we can finally get our revenge for the 70-20 game. So, that has some storyline to it. But really, man, there is nothing to be excited about going up against the Cardinals. Like, there's no cool storyline to play, nothing like that. So it's just kind of boring.
I don't know if you could call this cool, but I'm really worried about Trey McBride against Alex Singleton. But I mean, Arizona low key, like I'm not saying don't sleep on them or anything like that because they're still going to be horrible next year. Like their division's too tough. But hey, man, Jeremiah Love, Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr. is kind of like a wild card, and then Trey McBride. Man, they've got some weapons. They could be like coming into the year. It feels like the team that we always expect to be the worst team in the league is not the worst team in the league. Like the Saints this past year, everyone was like, "Man, what do they have?" And I don't know. Arizona could be better than people think, but yeah, no, you're right, David, that there kind of is really nothing to look forward to other than all the Broncos fans that are going to be at the stadium.
Yeah, definitely.
The game that when I saw the schedule, I'm like, they had to freaking put it at 2:30 on Christmas Day is the Bills game. I'm very excited to play the Bills. I'm very excited for a big matchup, all that stuff. But 2:30 on Christmas Day, that's like the hardest time ever. I don't know how your family does it, but for me, that's just right in the middle of everything. Like, it's like, and then my night's gonna be like my attitude is going to be dependent on what happens. And my daughter, you got a little girl who's like, "Hey, this Christmas, I'm having so fun." I'm just like yelling at the TV. It's like, we couldn't have waited for just another day than this for me to be all amped up. So that was the only one where it's like, man, I wish that wasn't on Christmas Day.
I love the holiday games, but
yeah,
it might be tougher in terms of streaming, for Christmas. Last year it was easy being it so late, we'll have to see. I feel that. Good question, Jeremy. You got another one?
Yeah. Let's go with pull it up. Let's see. Which Bronco? It could be returning Bronco, it could be a new Bronco. Which Bronco are you most excited to see this upcoming season?
Like returning as in they're on a different
like it could be Bo Nix, how he's going to look off the ankle. Is it a guy that's up and coming like Pat Bryant, or could it be like a Jalen Waddle or one of the rookies? Is there one that you're kind of like, man, I'm excited to see him in the preseason. I'm excited to see him on the field.
Well, I wish it was Jahdae Barron, but I still don't even know how he gets on the field.
You'd be excited to see him on the field.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe if we move him to safety, you get on the field. I'll piggyback off of what Kodiak said. The RJ Harvey disrespect is pissing me off, man. Like, dude, this guy added so much juice to our running back room that we've been complaining about not having for years. It shows up. Okay, he's not a 1,000-yard back as a rookie, and I feel like people are just already writing him off because he's not a complete running back, or he's got some things that he sucks at that he's got to get better at. The guy has way more positive attributes than negative ones, and I'm excited to see him take a step. So, yeah.
You have one, Kodiak?
Yeah, well, I'm going to give you two. One offense, one defense, because my first on offense is way too easy, man. Jalen Waddle, dude. He's basically the only new starter that we're adding to this team, and I think it's going to be crazy when we finally get to see the Waddle celebration. I think we're all super duper excited to see Jalen Waddle. But my one on defense is Q Robinson, because, George Payton had talked about it. He said that, Q Robinson might have the highest upside of anybody they drafted in this draft class. And on one hand, you could be like, well, is that a little concerning? And I think, no, I don't think it's concerning, because Q Robinson was a guy who he was kind of like a guy I was like, man, this is a luxury pick. Ironically enough, I thought Savion Jones was our best pick last year because that was the only one I didn't have any problems with. And then Q Robinson, I was like, what, dude? We're going with
right? We're like, what a wasted pick.
I was like, we're going with a fifth edge over a tight end. But, man, all he did was step in and just make huge plays this past year. And we obviously have a really good edge pipeline. We know how to develop these pass rushers. So, yeah, super duper excited to see how Q Robinson can take steps forward, especially because he didn't play a lot of college ball either. He's one of those guys that he was just kind of like a traits bet. And the Broncos, they have their archetype of what they like in the edge room. They took him, and man, oh man, all he did was make plays when he was out there on defense.
Yeah, that's a good one. There's 9 games before the bye this year. And it seems like that first half schedule is the hardest. What is you gave full season record predictions. What's your prediction of the record at the bye?
Oh,
if you want to pull it up, so we got Chiefs
6-3.
Okay, I mean, I would take that all day. Right.
Then we win every game after the bye. That's how I get to
14.
Or no, except one. That's how we get to 13-4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You drop one at the
Okay.
Yeah.
I say 5-4, but then we go on a heater at the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, I would honestly right now, if you had me like, would you take 5-4 at the bye? I probably take that for sure. Just because it's so stacked.
Mhm.
But that's assuming we're gonna like, be in good position to close. So but I mean, I think we could definitely be better than 5-4. So okay, let me see. What's your bigger season like off-season question? Is it Bo Nix's injury recovery or is it Davis Webb like stepping in, calling plays? Like, what do you think is the bigger question mark going into the season?
I don't have any qualms about Davis Webb stepping into the OC position. So I guess by default, I'll just go with the Bo Nix recovery. Even though I'm not concerned about that yet. I will be if he starts miss time during training camp. But I think Sean's saying that we're going to see him in June and full go by training camp. And the fact that they give us a clear timeline, that makes it a little bit easier for us as fans. Now, if he starts missing that clear timeline, that's when it's panic time. But yeah. So I guess by default.
Yeah. Now, let me ask, let's assume like the preseason, last preseason, we looked like we were like looking great in the preseason. If we kind of start off a little rough in this preseason, are you going to panic or are you going to be like, nah, we'll be fine?
I won't care at all because we saw this O-line get whooped last preseason by like dudes who were selling insurance the week after. They still came out and they were still a pretty good unit. So yeah. No, I think it was just a testament to our depth that we looked really good last year in the preseason. And I think the main thing that matters is you just escape healthy.
Yeah. David, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, biggest question mark is Davis Webb because he has no excuses. He's got good offensive line, good weapons everywhere. There is no excuse for why we shouldn't have an offense that's in rhythm starting, or like literally that's what you're trying to. That's like the one thing you're trying to improve is that you get rid of the ups and downs and the quarters where it doesn't even look like an operable offense, and trying to just hit more of those highs quicker. So Davis Webb, hey, if you are, we're rumored to be offered the Raiders head coaching job after never calling plays. I mean, hey, there seems to be some special buzz about you. So now it's time to go prove it. So yeah, he's the biggest question mark. But like Kodiak said, because of those reasons, I do feel that he will be competent.
It seems so weird that like the general feeling about Sean Payton, who's you could classify as one of the greatest offensive minds / play callers, maybe in history. And it's kind of like, yeah, but let's let the guy who's never done it. I feel better about him doing it just because of like the operation of it. It just seems like it's just a weird scenario. You normally, if you would have been like, hey, we're going to take away one of the best play callers of the last 20 years and put in a guy who's never done it, and everybody feels fine about that, is like, you would never think that would be, but that's where we're at, which I find interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well said. Any others, Jeremy, before we get to our prize pick for the night?
Yeah, I guess the last one I had was just, well, I mean, it's not even really a question. It was more of like Skip Bayless on the arena with the cube said, we're looking at 1-8 to start that first 9 games. But then he said we were finished 9-8. So I guess he's having us like go on the heater of all heaters.
That doesn't make any sense, but that's a great omen. Skip Bayless thinks we're going 1-8. That's
awesome. Exactly. Yeah, I don't think, let's see. Was there, I guess the last one I guess had was there, did you have a most underrated Bronco, a Bronco that played better than you felt like got credit for
this past year?
Yeah, this past year.
Yeah.
Okay.
An unsung hero, maybe.
So after the 2024 season, I was so excited for us to move on from Justin Sternad, but all he did last year was get up for our biggest games.
That's a great one.
He played really, really well. Like, especially in that game where he got the chance to be the one. That was our only game where we got good play from our linebackers against a good offense. When it was Sternad and Greenlaw, man, I felt like Sternad was up for the challenge. And I feel like, you know what? Inside linebacker, it's a position that takes a while to adjust to the NFL. And so you see like these year 5, year 6 breakouts, but it was really cool to see. him finally, cement himself here and for him to, get that extension.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's a great one. Dave, do you have one?
Dude, I'll stand on it, man. We're not even close to 14-3 without Cortland Sutton last year, man. I don't care about the few drops that he had that made me lose my mind, man. I don't know. There's so many more positive moments with Cortland Sutton. If you go and look at his body of work last year, that's just how I see it. People want to say he's not an elite number one option. I'm not saying he is. But the fact of the matter is without him, our offense would have been absolutely atrocious. He came up big way more often than falling short. So, yeah, put some respect on Cortland Sutton's name. Now, I don't know if he's here next year based on his cap number and all that and development of Pat Bryant. But, you could change that having another strong year this year. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think we have a high expectation of him. And when he has some drops or something like that, we kind of go, oh, he didn't play very well. But it's like, that's because the bar is up here.
Yeah.
It's not like,
I think people will always compare him to DT, which I don't think that's fair. But
no,
that's how people view him.
And DT's revisionist history a little bit too. Because like DT, when you have Peyton Manning, is a different level. Julius Thomas, when you have Peyton Manning, is different level. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just say that. DT was great, but he wasn't like, I mean, he wasn't better than Rod Smith, in my opinion. Like, he was very good, and he was perfect for Peyton Manning. But I think that's a really good one. I think Cord does unfairly get criticized a little too much. Because honestly, that first year with Bo, we would have been nowhere near the playoffs without Cord.
No.
Oh, no. Like I've been saying since 2023, I don't even want to see what our offense would look like without him. Any of those years.
Yeah.
Oh, man, 2023. Hey, you mentioned Cortland Sutton. That means
Gregory.
Gregory will appear. He will appear for y'all. It's Cortland Sutton. That's great. Before we wrap up, we gotta do a prize picks, guys. Use that code HMA. When you deposit 5 and play 5, you'll get 50 bonus bucks to play with. So we're gonna do a three-tier combo right here. And since we've been talking so much about receivers, we're gonna go with some receivers. Okay, guys. So
okay. I got a perfect one that was said in the chat, by the way.
Oh, okay, go for it. Let's add it.
This is the over under. I think check the prize picks, but is how many interceptions Hufanga is going to have.
Oh yeah, I think they got Hufanga in here.
Which
no, they don't.
Okay,
dang it.
Because he was
Singleton, but not Hufanga.
I know, it's just so stupid.
Because Hufanga was like, I think they had interception, which it's like he's catching multiple interceptions this year.
He better.
He better. Yeah. Okay. Do the receivers.
Okay. I'm just going to steal the Cortland one. He's going over 755 and a half. He's just doing it. He's not going to become, a Troy Franklin of this offense. It's not to crap on Troy Franklin, but he's not going to go into a supplementary role. He's still going to be a primary part of this offense. So I still see him. I think his floor on this season, as long as he's healthy, which it is for all these guys, I think it's 800 yards.
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right. Does anybody stick out to you guys, Jeremy Kodiak?
Let me try to jinx Brock Bowers and say he's going over. Because 875 for Fernando Mendoza or whoever's throwing in passes, that's going to be your safety blanket. I think that'll probably hit. And I'm really good at like jinxing these guys, so like I'd be happy if that doesn't.
Love it. Kodiak?
Actually, I see one. Scroll up just a couple more rows. I think maybe one more. Okay, Zay Flowers. All right. I think Zay Flowers, he's a guy who he's been really, really steady as Baltimore's wide receiver 1 over the past 2 years, and he might finish just at this line or maybe even slightly above it. I think Zay Flowers is going over. Okay. They didn't add any weapons where I'm just like, oh yeah, they're going to make, they're going to eat into a significant chunk of what Zay Flowers has gotten over the past few years. I know that Henry is still, doing Derrick Henry things, and but Zay Flowers was very, very productive this past year, even without Lamar Jackson for a lot of the year. So I think Zay Flowers is pretty good, and I think he's going to hit this, assuming we get a full 17 out of Lamar.
Dude, no doubt about it. I love that. Thanks to Prize Picks for sponsoring the show. All right. Any last items before we shut this thing down? Any last questions, Jeremy? Did you have any more?
Nope, no more questions. But I will say, it always makes me feel good when, even though like the schedule release videos don't, who cares really? But I love seeing Peyton Manning be the Broncos ambassador,
Yeah.
the Colts every
Me
single
too.
time.
Me too,
It's just
dude.
like, yes.
Yeah, I loved it. And props to the Broncos for actually putting effort into it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Was it last year? Where I felt like they just put no effort into it?
Yeah.
Was it something with horses or something?
I can't even remember last year's. I'm not sure.
But yeah, hey, props for them for like putting in effort. I love the little commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. So, Kodiak, you got anything coming up on your channel that people can be looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I told you guys last Monday that I was going to make a top 10 players of the 2025 Broncos, or going into the 2026 season. I've been slacking on that, been working a shitload. But you know what? I'm finally off tomorrow, so I'll be able to do that. And yeah, I don't have much else to say. The dead season of the NFL right now, we're starved for news. Go Avs. For all of you that are watching sports tonight, enjoy Buffalo versus Montreal Game 7. Enjoy Oklahoma City versus San Antonio Game 1, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to go watch the Spurs game here in just 20 minutes. So now that the Nuggets are out,
You're defaulting to the Spurs?
Putting on my Spurs hat.
Oh,
Wemby's pretty good. Wemby's pretty special, man.
Yeah.
he is good.
Yeah, they're an easy team to bandwagon when you live here. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, hopefully the Spurs will get the victory and avenge our Nuggets. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes.
Had a great crowd today. I know we're kind of experimenting with at what time in the early evenings we're going to go live. So again, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you're notified when we're going live, and we'll be back next Monday. So thanks again, guys. We'll see you then. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
It's finally done. The draft is done. Broncos country, we're here to break it down. Woo! We'll tell you about the players who bring the power. This is horsepower.